Yes, YouTuber, and welcome back to, are we calling this a series? We aren't, are we? Welcome back to off-season. A horrible place to be. Okay, so we just posted the cycle and nutrition video a couple of days ago, which went down really well. I actually thought I'd get a lot of stick for that, but I actually didn't. A lot of questions, a lot of good questions. And praise for me being honest, which thank you very much. I think it's very important that we are in the industry. And also, I actually haven't mentioned to you, Joe, we're going to be doing a podcast as well. Me, Nathan Styles and Haran. And again, just 3 individuals, a couple of pro bodybuilders. Haran's a high level athlete, of just basically just talking the shit at the UK bodybuilding scene. But anyway, today we are in for back. It's most definitely not a deload session today, but I do need a rest. I didn't feel too well on Tuesday. I thought I was coming down with a sickness bug. But as it happened, I think it's just, I do need a rest. I've got sleep apnea again, just because of the weight gain. 260 this morning, not even at the end of week 3. So what's that, 35 pounds? 35 pounds in 20 days. So it's gonna happen. My body's still up and down. Some mornings I wake up quite lean and dry and I think, oh, this is okay. This morning, for some reason woke up just a little bit swollen. There's no real pattern to it. The food's not changed, everything's still the same from when we did the last video, and now it's just a case of, I do need a rest today, but I'm here now. So I'm just gonna fucking tear the arsehole out of it, have a really big session, and then I can rest Sunday, Monday, potentially Tuesday, and then see how we go. Actually, after Tuesday, even though I was ill, when I came back in the gym Wednesday, I had a phenomenal session. So holding straps as well. So today I'm gonna be doing some pulling. I haven't used straps properly in a while, and I actually haven't done any kind of pulling from the floor or hinging in a while. I'm probably going to start with an RDL today in terms of the pull. Single arm movement to start, just to get some lats in there. My session in the week on a Tuesday is predominantly more lat focused, more volume focused. The session on a Saturday today, because I have a day off tomorrow, is going to be a little bit heavier, slightly lower volume, basically thickness focused if you like. So we'll get into that. Should be a lot of good teaching points today because we haven't done a back session in a while. Really just a case of just getting through today as efficiently, as effectively as possible so we can rest over the next few days. Touching on that, we're in a different gym as well. We're in Ultraflex Durham, so again, another one of the Ultraflex franchises, but I'm still toying with the idea if I'm going to be moving up here, moving away from Rotherham. My girlfriend lives up here and I live in Rotherham. We've been together 5 years. The reason why I live in Rotherham was because of a gym. That's, you know, that was my decision. I feel like Rotherham's maybe served its purpose. Does Rotherham give me anything extra to what somewhere else would? Maybe a couple of years ago it did, but not anymore. So this is like my taster weeks, just to see if I like. It's like when you start a new job, seeing if you like it or not before you bin it off. So far, so good. So my primary focus on here is just to nail the mid and lower lat. How I'm doing that is I'm lining myself up with the machine so my elbow can be pulled in a straight line. I'm keeping my shoulder forced down and my chest up. I'm driving my elbow low till I feel a squeeze. Then I'm driving my elbow down and away. I'm not just squeezing and letting it drop. I'm driving it down. I'm driving it even further down and away. And when I get to this point, people usually go into the concentric. I still let the eccentric pull my lat, and then I drag from this position. Don't stop short of the eccentric. Allow that to be stretched. Take it to that length and position. Drag and squeeze. Elbow down. Fully lengthen. Drag and squeeze. And with this, just trying to really get the lats warm, but as active and as firing as efficiently as possible straight away. Picking a machine that can really get them lats short. Some people like, you know, if you're going to be progressive overload focus, let's call it, where you're going to be really wanting to lift heavy weight on the hinge or the pull, likely that you want to come in and do that first. Put all your effort and your energy into that pull. But for me, or depending, again, maybe for a client, for example, I would do a lat work first. Get my back feeling warm, or potentially for some people hamstring work. So a lying hamstring curl is perfect again before you go and do that, depending on what area of weakness or what the session is, maybe posterior session. So we'll slightly get heavier this set. We'll do a third set of the heaviest, and then that's going to be enough for here today. And then we'll just do 2 sets of that. So sets slightly reduced today because it is a heavier session, but also I don't want to be doing 30 sets today when my recovery is already massively diminished. Again as well, you'll notice I'm moving things a little bit faster. I have this conversation with my clients. You may see some of my clients working quite slowly in terms of the rep range, and that's just in order so you can feel the muscle. When you've trained a certain way for such a long time, chasing weight and progressive overload, you lose that connection to muscle. So it's about starting people from the beginning, learning how to be able to contract a muscle really hard and keep it lengthened, and from the lengthened position, keep the muscle on. Once you can do that, you can start to move more load and more weight in that style and in that manner. And that's where this training style progresses across time. So I spent a year doing it slow. It doesn't necessarily have to be a year, I just wanted to take my time. Now in these sort of movements, I just instinctively do it. So I don't need to think about all these slow things and squeezing. I can literally make sure that the muscle's on, the tension's on from the lengthened to the shortened. If I move it with 3 seconds, or I move it with a second. And that's where the progression comes really in this training. Oh, that was nice. That was the set. That connected really well. I just felt like I was growing. Growing in that set. And the thing is, all my clothes from prep are a bit too small for me now. So I need to go shopping again. I got some strong stuff on order. I was hoping it was going to be here today before I trained. If you want some strong stuff, you can use code TONK at checkout for free next day delivery. I'm typically not as keen on these handles as the other primes, so you have two styles. I don't know what they're called, but one's just a straight so you can put wraps on it. But sometimes I think when you use straps or wraps, you can lose the point of pull. So people are pulling from the wrist and they're not quite engaging the back as much. I feel when I'm doing warm-ups or a reasonable weight with the other style in Rotherham, when I wrap, the movement feels different. But this stays the same throughout. Just means that if you've got a bit of a shit grip, you're running too much growth hormone, or you're eating too many carbs, then you're gonna come unstuck quite fast. But for me so far, that was a good start. We're in it now. So I haven't RDL'd or pulled. Actually, I tell I did 2 plates last week or the week before, and it felt super heavy. So I have actually been up to a 7-plate RDL. Believe it or not, once upon a time, I was a strong motherfucker, but I just didn't build any muscle because I was just moving weight. And I just got injured all the time. So I think there's actually a video on my Instagram somewhere, and I'm either 2 weeks out or 3 weeks out, and I'm still doing 6-plate RDL for like 10. Whereas today I think I might go to 2, and I'll build it up from there. I don't need to go any heavier than 4 to 5 plates ever with a hinge. Just really focus on where the load goes. I'm dead set on that, regardless of how strong I feel. Just the hinge in the weight in that style for a lot of people. Louis, the client who was in last time, he was the same, very, very strong guy at RDLing or everything, but no muscle to go with it. And then that tells you something, that paints a picture of who's moving weights from A to B, or who's contracting muscle, putting tension through a muscle with a load. And again, if you're super strong, and I've said this a few times, if you are super strong and your musculature doesn't reflect that, do something else. Take fucking 6 months out of what you've been doing for the last 3 or 4 years and try something for six months, that's all it is. Guarantee you the stimulus alone will change your physique quite dramatically. There's obviously the issue as well, at the minute for me, running oxys, a lot of water retention, a lot of carbohydrates. Just doing that warm-up, I can feel a lower back pump already, which is maybe not going to be a good thing. But we'll try it. My personal cues for an RDL, how I find RDL in the best and most effective. Approach the bar. We do have a thing called a snatch grip RDL, which will be purposely wider, but I literally just let my arms hang, and from that position when I'm stood in the middle of the bar, boom. That's where I am. I'm locked on there. In this position, I get my feet level, even though I'm not going to be RDLing in this position. I make sure I'm planting my feet into the floor and that my weight distribution is even through both feet. From there, I start to take tension slightly and I switch my lats on hard. My lats are like, I'm flaring like a real lat spread to the judge there as hard as I can. And then I pick up with the lats, step back, reposition my feet. And all I'm thinking about is going backwards and forwards, not up and down. So I'm squeezing the bar hard with my lats on and I'm going backwards. Hips back, hips back, hips back, hips forward. I'm not going up and down. I think working at about 3 plates, I don't need to go any heavier than 3. 3's heavier than actually I thought I would go. I have no idea how this is going to feel. The feedback from a lot of the guys in the show was you need a thicker lower back. My lower back has previously been thick and my glutes were big, but like I mentioned before, I just let them drop off because it wasn't something that was being chased for in the division, and my focus was elsewhere, obviously on building some muscle up top. I've got no set rep range here, no set number. I'm going to go till it feels good. 1, 2 shy of failure, maybe 3, depending on how it feels. Bracing under a load foot like this for first time in a long time. Hopefully we can make it feel good. So the same principles as I was talking about before, even though we're wrapped up. Grips tight, feet are planted flat, lats are on. But my whole body's like tight as fuck now, like a coiled spring. There's no looseness anywhere. Everything has to be tight from the bottom of your feet everywhere. Really focusing on lat engagement. Deep breath, and we're in. Felt pretty good. I think I could go significantly heavier than that, but that gets me thinking, what am I pulling with? It was all locked through the lower back as that, which is where we want it. Maybe need to transfer that weight a little bit higher up in my back. Didn't drink my intro fast enough. A little hypoglycemia never killed anybody. Just one more in here. The hypo caught me out. My strong delivery, like I said, didn't come this morning, so I'm topping my intro up with some glucose tablets, but I forgot to have them. So I'm just not used to having them. So when I was doing the RDL, I was like, I'm either dizzy from the blood pressure, or I'm a little bit hypo. I think it's a combination of both, but should be good now. 10 to 12 again, just getting used to loading the back. Then we'll go and do a T-bar row, which is again reasonably heavy. So 2 heavy movements in a row, which is something we wouldn't normally do. And then a pull down, and then potentially one more exercise and a pull over. There's no biceps or anything attached to this session, so it's just purely back. That's why I can focus a little bit more on load. Just been a little bit more intense in the actual exercises on a usual week. Obviously this week, like I said, sleep apnea has fucking killed me off. Recovery's been diminished because of that. And at the minute, I'm not complaining because it's a position I love to be in, but work, coaching and everything else is just so busy. I usually go in and have a nap for an hour, but there's just no chance I can get away with it at the minute. A lot of people competing, a lot of guys doing well. A lot of people need my full attention, and they come first. And I'll just try and, I just need a CPAP machine up here so I can breathe. Felt better, letting my back arch a little on the way up. Take it more to my mid back. Still a lot of low back, but a little bit more overall back there. T-bar row. This is actually probably the best T-bar row I've ever used. I'm not a fan of T-bar rows usually, and I've used this twice now. This will be my 3rd time. Both times it's just hit me different. Upper back but mid back at the same time, which is something I generally don't get with a T-bar. So I'm going to put this in pretty much every session. All I'll do is this session earlier on in the week, I'll run it with volume, potentially a little bit of a longer stretch in each rep, whereas this will just be more straight sets, 3 sets of 10 to 20. Start reasonably light today again, just because my lower back's a little bit fried from that already, but 3 sets on here. Again, just making sure that the lat's getting as short as possible, as lengthened as possible, but under a little bit more load. Just give it a minute. We'll almost do. Just to let that blood flow drop off and then start again. With no rush today. I do like the gym though. I do like the equipment. It's just, I said on my Instagram the other day, just the chest kit here doesn't really, hammer strength pieces, there's a lot of array of equipment, a really good selection, but there's nothing that really gets me. I've been doing dumbbells recently, the last week or so, the last 2 times I trained chest, which felt really nice. So that may be the compromise. If not, there's an abundance of gyms around here, so it's just a case of even finding a commercial one that's got nice pieces of kit that I connect well with, because without chest it's pointless. Chest is everything at the minute. Anything else will respond. It's just getting my chest in a position to be able to have enough density to hold that fullness when I'm dieting. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. bodybuilder just yet. What do you reckon, Joe? You want to see me in what, a week?
Everything just looks fine.
Swollen. Swole, bro. It's not a nice place to be, I'm not going to lie. And that's another thing. It's like, be open and honest about this approach. Like, I do this approach with my clients all the time. Just 60% of what I'm doing. 70 max for maybe a week. I'm much further in front, much more aggressive than what I would do. It's almost like you've got a lap of a track to navigate. Milo says just put your foot to the floor, close your eyes and we'll get as far as we can before it crashes. And I'm losing traction. For me personally, when I'm in prep, I feel amazing. I feel cognitively very good, energy-wise very good. My moods are always very high, and it just changes very fast. Tired all the time, lethargic, foggy. My cognitive function's pretty much zero. I feel not terrible, but just a little bit shit from the water. And that's in like 3 weeks. It's a fast transition. It's not something you can do for a long period of time. Definitely not. But you know, 5 weeks, we've got 2 weeks left. And then recovery, we'll likely lower a little bit of food, I'd imagine. Just to try and get a little bit of, well, so I don't turn into a fucking absolute puffer fish, even more so. Right, last set on here. Should be quite heavy, this for me. Okay, yep. Light isolation, hinge, and a heavy-ish row. That will be progressed as time goes by. That's a little bit of upper back as well. We hit low back, we hit lat. I really want something mid back, so ideally a pull down. I'll pick a single arm pull down now. There's got a few variations here. Again, usually I do a close grip pull down here, but the cables are taken. We'll do single arm pull down. It's going to hit the same place. I'll just take a little bit longer, and then we will do. They've got some really good, what they're called. Fucking hell, what they're called, Joe? Yeah, it's really good pullovers here. They've got the original Dorian pullover. We've got a hardcore corner as well. We'll go and have a look at that before we leave. Got the original Dorian pullover, but they do have the prime pullover as well, which I much prefer. Sorry, Dorian, but it's much better. So we'll do that, and that may be it today. Again, guys, if I'm being honest, I'm getting nothing out of this session apart from just digging a deeper hole. And I'll be the first one to my guys to say, just go fucking home. You're doing nothing. But we'll finish strong. I'll be that dickhead again before I rest. But the rest will be warranted. I do this every year. I don't rest post-show. And I go into my off-season and things start to go well. And I just push and I push and I push. And then the wheels fall off. So this time, I've even left this a little bit long now. But this time, I'm not going to allow that to happen. I'll take 3 days rest. And then after the 3 days, if I feel like I need a fourth, I'll go 4. I won't come back in the gym until I'm desperate to train. That might be 5 or 6 days. But until I get that fire back to train, I do love training now, but I'm not skipping to the gym like I was last week. Until I get that back, I'm not ready. And that's the same for you. If you have 2 days off, 3 days off, and you go back to the gym, and you're in the same mindset as before you deload, there's nothing wrong with having a week off. You aren't going to lose muscle. Very, very difficult to lose muscle. To actively lose muscle, you're going to have to try and physically remove it, not resting. It says the hypocrite study here, talking about rest. Well, let's get this fucking session done and then get rested. I'll run that. I'll use this. I like the T-bar. I like the prime single arm. I like the pullover. So I'll do an RDL 1 session, and then likely maybe a T-bar landmine style row the other session, or I don't really want to do a bent over row in the Smith machine because it's very similar to the T-bar. So maybe a T-bar landmine with a neutral grip, and then a T-bar chest supported slightly higher. Next time you come to me, I'll have a set session for everything. Still just, well, I would have actually by now, but because, like I say, I'm potentially moving from Rotherham to here full time, obviously things got changed. But I know the bones of the sessions, it's just finding where the volume can sit. So right now it's pretty straight. You say there's been no drop sets today or anything, which I just couldn't do. I just don't have the capability to do at the minute. Again, the loading in this session is a little bit heavier. Not massively, I've still only got a plate there, but a couple of movements are. And that feels quite nice at the minute. I've never actually tried this, but the original Nautilus Dorian pullover still got remnants of paraboling on it. I still don't have Dorian feed this. It's no prime. How we built lats like that with that machine. Fair fucking play to him. No, we'll use the prime. Just thought we'd show the viewers. So what I typically do on here, because it's the last exercise of the day, I just use it in the stretch position more than anything. So I'm really just looking to get my lats stretched as much as possible. I'm obviously concerned about the concentric and getting that squeeze, but I'm more so about just allowing my lat to be stretched. It's always a good idea to finish with your lat in a stretch position. Some people stretch on a bar, like a pull-up bar when they finish, but I just think it's a better idea that the exercise that you're using is primarily putting you in a stretch position under load at the end of the eccentric. Get your back nice and loose before you leave. The good thing about this is it allows you to get nice in your elbows nice and close together compared to the normal ones. And then from that position, tuck your hips down, extend your rib cage. Try not to go back like this with it because you're not helping your stretch. You want to be tucked to there and stretch. So that's, what do you call that? I'd call that a D-volume, which I'm not a fan of D-volume sessions or D-load sessions. I think if you need to rest, you fucking rest. You can't rest in the gym. Do less sets but lift the same weight, or don't go as far in your sets. Just don't go to the gym. You're not going to lose muscle. You're just not going to recover as well as you would if you had a rest day or rest days. So for me now, it's Saturday today. And from the show, I've not had a day off. I've had Sundays off. So I've trained consecutively now for months with 1 day off a week, maybe 2 days when I was traveling. So I need this. I was trying to hold out up until I went to Spain in a couple of weeks with Joe for his pro qualifier, but I'm just been out left to me by then. So I take the hit now, and then it's just a case of getting back on things probably in next week, maybe later on next week if the deload's not going as efficiently or as well as I'd like. But again, it's a case of just taking it on the chin. We all want to be in the gym, we all want to be moving forward and progressing, but you can't progress if you've got no fuel in the tank. It's a good analogy, that. Again, thank you for watching, guys. We'll probably do something a little bit different than a training video next time. Maybe a little bit of another talk or something like that. I was quite intrigued by a lot of your comments in terms of asking questions about the cycle and things like that. Is maybe worth, I don't know, let me know what you think about maybe doing some like whiteboard sessions where almost, not a seminar session, but 10-15 minute videos of why I would do X, Y or Z. Peaking clients, for example. I've peaked 3 clients this week, all with 3 different peaks but the same principles. They've all woke up this morning fucking bang on, if I do say so myself. Anything like that, drug cycling, drug titration, how and why would we do certain cycles. Somebody inboxed me on Instagram as well, mentioning why do I do short cycles like this rather than the average, like your DHT derivative with your testosterone based over a course of 20 weeks. That is generally what I do. This is just simply for the rebound only. After a long prep, you don't want to go into another cycle. 5 weeks, it will probably be 5 weeks. You know, we were saying maybe stretch it to 8, but my body's is telling me enough. So 2 more weeks of this will be more than enough for me. And it's also, it's knowing when to back off as well, because we can all keep going with all the will in the world, but it's a broken machine, we're not going to be as productive. So we do what we can to get the best out of our steps moving forward. So for me, it's rest. But yeah, just let me know, guys, if there's anything like that you want to see. But in terms of the drug cycle, usually it would be something of generally an 18-week between 14 and 18 week test primo and adding, let's say, MPP and later on down the line, from 200 all the way up to maybe 500 or something like that, titrating over a course of weeks. But again, that's something that we'll chat about when that actually happens in the next 10, 12 weeks or whatever it'd be after a good recovery phase. So thank you again for tuning in. Please subscribe. A lot of you have been subscribing, which is nice. But it's 2,000 now. Oh, it'll be over 2,000 now, won't it? We're flying, we're absolutely flying. And the more of you guys that subscribe and comment, the more of this we do as well. The more chance we get to go out and do different things. But appreciate the comments, appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you next time.